Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this episode of Dev Dialogues. And today's guest is Issac Yianni of Icy Games. He is the mastermind and developer behind Lazerball, which is a sports brawler. So please enjoy. Okay, so kind of just tell everyone who you are, how you got into games, or just game dev in general.
Basically been doing games trying to make a game for about since 2020. And I just taught myself basically using YouTube tutorials. Before that, I just did a university course on concept art for games and films. And other than that, I've just been doing art my entire life. So I'm basically come from an art background rather than a programming background, and decided in 2020, as it was locked down, might as well learn a new skill and get into games.
So did you do all the art yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
yeah.
it's really good art. I really love I love the style of it, and it's very it's very well done. And it seemed the style is very, like, I guess what the word is, like, cohesive across the entire game. Like, there's nothing out of place in it, and it looks very good.
Yeah, I did change the style actually from the previous version. It was more sort of a long looking, more detailed style, but I thought switch to this chibi thing, and it really captures the game a lot more, the feel of the game.
Yeah, I guess the best compliment I could give you is I did play it with my son last night, and he seemed to really enjoy it. And I think that's the most important to me, is like, I mean, obviously certain games are made for an older audience, but like, if your game can easily just be picked up by a kid and they don't really have to pay attention too much to the tutorial, I think you did a good job there.
Oh, definitely. Kids seem to really love it. They always wanted to come back and play it. Like, yes, can I have another game?
Though I wish we had more people, because I feel like the true experience of Lazerball is just tons of people playing all at once.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's hectic and it's hilarious. Everyone's shouting at the screen like, "Come on, go!" I don't know where I am on the screen, but sure.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it just seems like one of those real fun party games where when you get a whole bunch of people on screen, it's not as easy to keep track. People are hitting the ball more often, and yeah, it's just a good time. Is this like when you got into games, or like, was this your first idea? Like, did you want to make Lazerball right off the bat, or did you have like some other project in mind?
I had another project in mind actually. The reason I got into it was I thought I have a cool idea for like a story, RPG sort of game that I'd like to make eventually, and I started developing it in multimedia fusion, click team fusion.
Okay.
And my friend told me just go over to Unity because it's better or something like that. I can't remember what he said specifically, but he said get off that program, go to Unity. Sorry for anyone that's uses ClickTeam Fusion. But anyway, yeah. So I had that thing, and mostly this Lazerball came from my practicing to learn Unity. It just came from a little what's it called? A test. Sort of, can I make an IK, make the ball move around and hit it? And it just developed from a test. Yeah.
So did you like, is that test literally still in the core code and you built off of that, or did you just end up like rebuilding it later?
I rebuilt it. Yeah, I rebuilt it. I've scrapped the whole thing halfway through the process and rebuilt it once I'd actually know how to code a little cleaner.
Yeah, yeah.
It got to the point where when I tried to change anything, it took me about half an hour to find where it was before I could actually change it and find what was linked to what.
I understand that. It's really important to have it like all in the properly named scripts, all in the right folders, with everything kind of modular. And with my game right now, I was building it and it was going well, and then I got the wacky idea to make it online. So I may have to end up doing the same thing as you, but I wasn't too far along when I turned it into a multiplayer game. But there's a lot more. I guess it slowed it down just because there was like so many more documentation and tutorials I had to really get into to to do better with it.
I think I've seen it. Yeah, it does look good. Yeah.
Yeah, and the art done is by Electric Lemon, I believe, because I'm no artist. I can do some basic pixel art, but
Right.
I'm no artist.
I don't think I could do pixel art, so
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of your ability to go from art and then learn coding. I feel like it's harder the other way around. I don't know. What's your thought on that?
Oh, definitely. I actually, yeah, I agree with you. I see coders that are trying to figure out art, and there's so many things you have to think that you don't think about, and it's a visual medium. And so there's how you lead the eye in the scene, where you create the points of focus. There's color theory. There's so much that goes into the art that you have to take years to learn. Whereas I've just come in and I can just, I feel like it's very easy to code games because it's just in comparison to what you have to learn art.
Well, and it's really easy to learn something like coding when it's like something you're incredibly passionate about, but like a average coder probably isn't super passionate about learning like every aspect of art, and they just want to make game art. But all of those aspects of art are kind of necessary to make game art, is kind of the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
What kind of you said you wanted to make an RPG, and I've spoken to a couple other developers. It seems to be like a really big one that like people want to do right off the like when they first get into game devs. I don't know if game devs are just naturally RPG lovers, but that's something that a lot of people, at least that I speak to, want to do, and they want to make something relatively complex, but then usually they either try to and fail, or they have the self-awareness to like put the brakes on it and be like, okay, I need to, do these tutorials here and then in this, and then maybe like make a smaller game. Maybe not necessarily exactly what you want to make it first, but something that's still enjoyable and you have fun making. Is that kind of your approach? Did you said you made like a whole bunch of small projects and then
Yeah. I had that sort of thing. I'm not going to be able to make this to the quality that I would like to start with. And I've previously watched through tons of YouTubers are all saying the same sort of thing. Don't start with a big game. Don't start with your dream game. So I followed that advice. I think I'm quite good at I don't know, staying focused and doing what I think is necessary to take your steps forward in the patient sort of way.
Yeah, I especially for any new developers, I guess the best advice is what we just spoke about is just making smaller little projects, and you can even turn those smaller projects into an entire game, like Isaac did with Lazerball, because that's kind of how I got started on my game too. I obviously have like this grander game I want to play, but then I remembered maybe like a smaller game from my past that I really enjoyed playing for inspiration, and then I just started with small projects, and kind of now I'm working on a much smaller project. It's like a little arcade game, but it's still fun to make. And so I think, and to stay consistent with it, like even if there's days where like, I mean, obviously give yourself like break days, but like, if there's a day, you can't break your habit of making your game, otherwise you'll never touch it again, I feel like. And you really need to make sure to do just a little bit every day and not like look at it as one huge problem. Because if I looked at multiplayer is one huge problem, I would have never got it done. I really have to break it down into super tiny micro like segments of things I'm coding to kind of keep my sanity and keep the morale going.
Oh, definitely. That's what you have to do. 100%. Break it. If you are organizing something, break it. I've got a Trello board and I break everything down into very, very minute details, and you feel that accomplishment every time you tick off a checklist.
Well, yeah, because if you check something off your list like every day or every other day, that accumulates very quickly, and before you know it, your game will be near release. I guess I know now probably your favorite type of games are RPGs. Is that right? Or I guess.
I don't know if I could pick a genre.
Well, okay, then what is in?
Maybe roguelike. I'd probably pick roguelike.
Roguelike. I think roguelikes are really great just because they have almost infinite replayability, and
Yeah.
that's what I really love about certain games is discovering, oh, this is new and that's new, and I think roguelikes are really good about that because with all the random generation and whatnot, you experience it's something new almost every single time. So is there a specific roguelike that you love like the most, or can you not put a number?
Well, the one I've got the most hours on is The Binding of Isaac. No relation. Uh, and Hades as well. I really love Hades. So they're quite new ones. But yeah, roguelikes, because like you said, you can play them over and over again. Our Binding of Isaac, constantly finding new things, constantly having to unlock so much content. You're unlocking new characters, you're unlocking, every time you beat a certain boss of a certain character, you unlock a new item to play in the game, and it's almost infinite.
I think the one I really enjoyed and put the most hours into, I think it's called Rogue Legacy, but I don't want to. I basically, you play as like a knight or something, and every single time you die, you're like the descendant of that character, and you have to keep going in
Oh, wow.
Until you like basically beat like all the bosses and whatnot.
I think I've heard of that one. Have a look. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think they made a second one, but I haven't played it, I don't believe.
I would like to make a roguelike actually, now that now that I'm thinking about it, I would, yeah.
I think that would be a really fun project.
Oh, definitely.
It just comes down to kind of nailing that random generation and then the procedural generation of, if you're doing dungeons and stuff like that. So when you're playing your games, is there a specific like type of role that you gravitate towards? Like, do you like doing like huge damage, or do you like utility classes, or defense, or healing?
I'd probably go for this sort of more speedy, agile dex builds.
Okay.
Like if I'm playing Dark Souls, I always go for the Uchi-Katana and then get like really, really high stamina so I can just roll around a lot and go for the no shields. But I do find in other games, like I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and I do sort of do a lot of support classes in that. It's mainly just I think it's a different environment. You want to support your friends and
well,
stuff.
what type of class do you mean? Like that you like? Because I play
like
D&D too. Like, what do you like to?
Yeah, like paladins and bards and
yeah, paladins were probably. I think
clerics.
Paladins and cleric were probably one of the two first classes I ever touched in D&D, and I continue to play them here and there. But like you said with Bard, I think the reason support classes are so fun is because they have unique play styles.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you can do a lot more because like a warrior, warrior does damage, right? Sure, there's other things you can do, like you can maybe get some like intimidation and stuff like that to vary up your play style. But Paladin is so much more enjoyable because you have like all this like knowledge. You have like religious knowledge and arcane knowledge, and you can heal and you can protect and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so I think they have a lot more. The things they can do is a lot wider. It makes it more enjoyable, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think charisma, anything that has charisma builds, like paladins, bards, sorcerers, any sort of charisma skills are always great in D&D because they buff your other things like not intimidation. Is it intimidation? Yeah, persuasion, things like that, and they're always great for that RPG element.
Well, then I gotta ask: is D&D the only tabletop you've played, or have you played others?
I've played a bit of Pathfinder. I've ran another game called Shadows of Esteron, which is more like a dark, gritty world where damage could always kill you in one hit.
Is it like dark fantasy then? Like
yeah, dark fantasy. Yeah, and that's it. Those three at the moment.
I mean, I haven't played a whole bunch either. I think my favorite is the Call of Cthulhu. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I call it Cthulhu. Everyone else says it differently, I swear. But
that sounds right to me. Have I been getting it wrong all this time?
It's my favorite just because it's kind of what you said. You're literally just normal humans, and then you're delving into all this like dark culty stuff and creatures and just like mind-breaking monstrosities and the cosmic horror of it all is so fun. I love it because I'm just like a shotgun is like it can get you only so far in that game. Like you can't really take down. Your best luck in that game is learning magic, and if you learn magic, your sanity kind of starts to break, and you'll lose your character once you lose too much sanity. So it's kind of fun.
This Shadow of Estrin game, I think you like that then. Yeah, it's very dark, and you can't even travel between towns, and you can't even travel through the wilderness without a guide to guide you. Otherwise, you're just gonna get lost, and there's things like that. And it's just really, really cool.
That does sound really cool, but it doesn't sound like a good place to live.
No.
Okay, so I'm interested. What kind of is there like a kind of music that you like to listen to while you're developing?
No, I'm actually weirdly I don't really listen to much music.
Really? While you're developing, you don't listen to any music at all?
I know. Well, because I'm too busy trying to focus. If I'm drawing, if I'm doing some art, then I'll listen to some music. Mostly, I will just put on some worship music, some Christian worship music, because I'm actually a Christian. So I actually listen to that in the background. Yeah.
That's cool. I usually listen to,
and it's of different genres as well. It's not just sort of like you got anything from metal to pop to rock, indie. I do like a lot of indie stuff.
Yeah, I guess sometimes I don't listen to music. I guess it really depends. If I'm like really trying to focus and learn something new, like I'm not gonna be listening to music because I'm probably gonna be watching tutorials, and even when I'm not watching tutorials, when I'm really trying to solve something, I'm not listening to music. I can't.
No.
Most of the times I can't really focus super hard, reading documentation and trying to learn something completely new if there's like music in the background.
Yeah, if I'm not listening to music, which I'd hardly ever listen to music anyway. But usually it's just watching a YouTube video or something, and that's only if I'm doing something I know how to do with my brain dead, sort of just doing some art stuff. Everything else that I've had to learn. Man, I can't code, can't level design, nothing without, I have to stay focused.
What, in your opinion, makes a good party game? Like, what are the elements that go into good... I feel like it's important to know how to make a good party game nowadays because you don't have that, like, couch experience exactly. Now, like, I mean, obviously, I've seen videos of you playtesting, with some of your friends and family where you're playing your game literally playing couch co-op, but not everyone does that anymore. Like when I was a kid, I'm playing Mario Party and all my friends are sitting on the floor in front of the giant TV.
Man, what a shame we've lost that.
And now everyone's just, I have friends that live in the same town with me, but they'd rather just like sit on their computer and talk on Discord and stuff like that. But so yeah, what elements do you think go into a good party game?
I'd probably say easy to pick up, quick rounds, a lot more than one thing going on, I'd say. I think I haven't done that too well with Lazerball, as you're only focusing mainly on the ball. That is quite important.
I think you need a degree of chaos going on, like you said, to make it fun, because I mean you don't want it to be like super, like it can't be taken too seriously, like it can't be like overly competitive. It has to, like, you need a little bit of competition is okay, but you still need to have like the craziness and it just being pure fun. It shouldn't be like, oh man, I just beat you 1v1 or something like that.
It's not that sort of competitive. It's just like, you're like, how did that happen? That's not fair. Like when in Lazerball you can get a power up, the laser power up, and it's just like everything sort of freezes and sort of slows down, and I was like, no, and then this massive laser just kills everyone. It's like
What kind of games did you look to for inspiration for Lazerball? Because I don't imagine you just woke up one day and you're like, you know what, I want to make a sports brawler.
After the fact that I was making it, actually, I decided to look up some games. because as we said, it started off as just a test. I wasn't really. All I wanted to do was seeing if I could make a ball bounce around the screen, and you could hit it using an analog stick in a very specific direction, and then curve it as well. I was just doing this as a sort of test. But then I just thought, no, I need to actually do some research and see what's out there. And obviously, it's a very similar sort of ball game, Lethal League. I had to look at and play.
I'll have to take a look.
Heard of that.
I actually haven't heard of that game.
Yeah, so they've got a very dedicated fan base that has. So yeah, it's interesting. It's just a two-player game, and there's the ball, and you can hit it in one direction, or you can lob it, or you can catch it and throw it. And it's very simple mechanics, but then there's a lot going on the screen as it's happening.
Is that game more of like a competitive one since it's 1v1, or is it still considered fun?
I'd say that's more competitive.
Okay.
And then I look at obviously things like Smash Bros. Played a lot of that growing up.
Played way too much of that growing up.
Oh yeah. Usually we'd go around some of my friend's house and then we'd play some of that, play whatever was on the Nintendo, and then go and play D&D as the kids. And then I just looked up just games that were similar to mine with tags on Steam to find out what they were doing right or wrong. So Square Off is a good one from Dev. Can't remember his name. Sorry. Can't find it. Never mind. But yeah, some of the Galva games like that.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that just goes to show that you can.
That's one Stick Fight.
Oh yeah, that is a good game. But I enjoyed that one. I mean, it just goes to show you can make a good game with just like really basic foundation, and then research kind of more on how you want to, what direction you kind of want to take it in. Because you said Lethal League, your game still fills a niche that or like a kind of like a void that was not even there, right? Because while Lethal League exists, it's a competitive game, and I heard of your game before Lethal League, so
wow, that's impressive,
right? But no, it was because when I saw your TikToks originally when you were getting ready to release your game and everything, and so that's how I heard of you. And I went on there. I was like, "Oh, this looks like a nice, well put together game." I reach out to you, and I was happy to get your response back. What kind of thought process did you like? Did you just simply research, or did you brainstorm with people to come up with your different game modes on Lazerball, or?
I was only planning originally just to have the original game mode, and through playtesting with some friends, they just suggested different game modes. They suggested, oh, what if you could do this? What if you could have a marksman game mode where one person's trying to take everyone else out? And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. And so it was just through playtesting and getting advice from people who were actually playing the game and enjoying it. And I did a little document where they could give feedback. And in one section it was, what about this game do you enjoy the most? So is it getting to the ball and hitting it? Is it jumping around? Is it getting a hit on another player? Is it a power up, whatever? And actually the majority of it was managed to get a hit on another player, obviously, which is really good, because that's what you want in a game where that's the goal. And so I just leaned into that more. So with the marksman game mode, it's all about getting hit on another player. With the points game mode, it's all about just keep hitting. I did add the goals game mode as just more of a little extra thing, just because I could do it, just add a bit more variety. But yeah.
So after you made all the game modes, did you still like the original the best, or did you actually find yourself enjoying a different game mode more?
I like the points game mode the most, because you don't ever go out. You don't have, in the original game you have lives, so 4 lives you're dead. but in the points you're just continually playing, which is always good. But every time I've asked people who've played it, they've enjoyed the original the most because they like to be able to take other players out.
Yeah, I can see. I think that original is definitely probably a lot more fun with a lot more people, just because you're taking out people and you get that satisfaction. You know, the number gets lower and lower and lower and lower. I think the time thing, I personally think would probably be more fun when like you have less players potentially, because rather than you just get the person out and then you're on to the next round, you actually get that chance to maybe come back when you're behind. So I think that is fun.
What isn't fun for people that I've found on the original is dying. If there's a lot of people dying early and then having to wait for the round to be over, which
you need
that's why it doesn't work very well with a lot of people. That game mode.
I actually was going to ask you this question, but I think you already answered it when I asked you. You had multiple art styles, or just that one other originally?
Yeah, that was only that one other, but also there was a different art style for the background as well, and so the background was more detailed, little sort of like more photo texture sort of look. But when I changed the art style to the chibi, I decided to also change the art style for the background to be more painterly. It's still quite detailed in comparison to the characters because I wanted to create that difference in contrast. But yeah, I changed the background as well.
Already planning to hop onto another game to develop?
I'm testing. I'm coming up with ideas, so I haven't come up with any other games yet. I'm not working on that right now. I'm just working with a friend, and he's trying to teach me Unreal Engine. And he wants to sort of work together, so we're just testing things out at the moment, seeing if we can make a little game in that.
That's
and I'm
cool.
also doing a game jam at the moment as well, so that's what I'm doing currently.
Oh, that's awesome. What's the theme for the jam you're on?
It's the GDKO, Game Dev Knockout. It is several rounds actually, with different themes each round. You don't have to fully make a game. It's supposed to just sort of test your overall game maker-ness in different parts of game design. So the first round, which is currently in the voting stage, is the make a unique location, make a level in a unique location.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so you don't have to do gameplay or anything. That's just the first round. And in this sort of game jam, it builds upon it. So it might say, now add this to this level, or now add sound design that incorporates blah blah blah. So it's kind of cool game jam.
Do you work with like the first round and then you go to the second, so it's the same product throughout the whole thing?
Sometimes, yeah. In the previous one they did it a couple of times, but sometimes it can just be a completely new round of a new theme.
Okay, that sounds, I mean, that really sounds fun, and it's a really good way to develop your skills. How early on did you kind of figure out the cast of your game with your characters? Because my personal favorite is Craw, which I'm assuming is a crocodile.
He was the last one I created. Yeah, he is. I made 5 or 6 characters to begin with in the first few months of creating the game. So I created the bird character. So he is the main character because he's the first one I made. Then the octopus, then Catherine, the cyborg girl, and then Kirk, the cactus guy. So it was those 4, and also a robot character, which isn't in the game, unfortunately. We didn't have time. But so it was those ones I actually created first, and then the rest of the characters I sort of came up with in the last probably last 5 months of development.
Did you already have the idea to make like all these more, I guess you could like, did you want to do like little animal characters and stuff like that immediately, or did you maybe have different characters in mind at first? Because when you were doing the more detailed stuff, were you doing like detailed human characters, or were you just doing?
Yeah, the first character I tested it on was a knight, like a space knight.
Oh,
So
that's
it's more
cool.
of like blue armor, like a stick and everything. Um, but it changed very quickly from that to animals, and mostly it's because the setting is supposed to be a dystopian future, and so these are all
Hmm.
mutated animals that are now competing in this game that's emerged in this future.
And
So
the
that's the
and,
theme.
and and the last human alive are only cyborgs.
Yes, yes, exactly. There is actually was a character as well, a baby character that I was making, but I didn't would add to the game, like a baby riding a mutant dog. So that was
That's
another
funny.
human.
Um, I guess then, if time and resources really weren't a factor, what would you add or have changed differently with Lazerball?
I would have added more characters, definitely, because that's a big part of the game.
Hmm.
Um, Probably up to maybe 10 characters would have been really cool. And more stages, so I want to do maybe 10 stages even. Um, but apart from the actual adding more content, I'd say online play, because that's been a real barrier for entry for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, Local multiplayers are very hard to sell, I found, because people don't play locally anymore.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, yeah.
Well, but your game does have the remote play support, right?
Yeah, it does. That doesn't seem to. I don't know. People seem to want to play with strangers online, which is interesting to me. I don't because I don't do that. I've never really got involved in that side of game playing.
I uh I I actually used the remote play a few times with my friends because I'll load up can't remember the name of the game, but anyway, it's basically a hack and slash game, kind of like Castle Crashers, but it's not Castle Crashers. But then with the remote play, they can just play as if they were local with me, and so I think that's a really uh, great feature they added because it allows
It's so good.
games to there are certain games that are literally just local multiplayer like yours, and with not everyone has friends that live near them, so it's a fantastic feature. So
Yeah,
if you guys are on the fence, because it is local multiplayer, you can still play it with your friends. So go ahead and buy the game.
exactly. Just you only need one copy. One
Or
copy.
you could just get just one copy, and you're good to go. Um, so I guess on that same note, maybe I know the answer to this, but if time and resources was not a factor, once again, would you be making an RPG like right off the bat, or what would be what's your grand game that you've always wanted to make?
Probably, yeah, probably a sort of story game.
Hmm.
I want to tell stories, as I'm sure lots of people do. You want to get across some really, you got creative ideas in your head. You want to get across these things in a really cool manner,
Hmm.
in game design. Like I did, like the best part of playing Dungeons and Dragons is being the dungeon master, in my opinion. I love just creating the worlds and having people enjoy them, play them. So yeah, a story-based RPG sort
Are
of
you
game.
are you a DM every time then?
Fortunately, on all the games I'm in at the moment, I'm not. So darn it.
I didn't know if you were one of those people that got stuck DMing because
No, I
a lot
love
of
DM. If I could get stuck DMing, that'd be great.
the people I know would rather just play characters than actually do all the work behind developing the world and the story. Because I don't know about you, but like I like to play in homebrew worlds all the time.
Same,
I don't
yeah.
like playing in their world that you can be in. Like I'd rather make something brand new, all new villages, and it's kind of fun building the NPCs, their personalities, the political figures and everything that play into just creating one single village. And then you have
Yeah,
to make a
it's
hundred more.
so good. It's so good to do, and also I don't really want to have to read through someone else's thing and then have to remember it. If you made it yourself, then you know exactly. If someone asks you a question, you know exactly what that where that is, what's happening.
How deep do you get into your storytelling? Because one of my favorite things is, I love it when my DM presents me with like riddles or puzzles that I have to solve. It's like that. It's a really fun element to put on top of it because you're going through these ruins. You got all the story elements. They write all of this, great stuff. Maybe there's like scriptures on the wall and stuff, and it's like some great storytelling. But then when they throw like a puzzle or a riddle in there that the players have to solve, or they literally can't continue, I love that stuff. I love that stuff to do.
Yeah, that's. I did start when I first started DMing. I did make little actual physical puzzles, like actual things that you can move.
Oh, you even went
and
physical.
Yeah, that you
That's
could
awesome.
play that. Because well, that's what I was sort of used to constant puzzles, and because when I was first playing, it was first edition D&D. I'm growing up, like probably started, I don't know, like 11 years old playing, and with my friends, and it was first edition, and so it was actually just dungeons and whatever was in the dungeons. So it was just dungeon crawling, or there was no real role playing elements really.
I wouldn't expect super complex storytelling from like a 10-year-old.
No. So yeah, it was all that. So I was always experiencing puzzles in these sorts of games, and so I just implemented it myself. And then when it's come to later development of these games that I like to make, the puzzles end up just being more what's it called? Sort of conspiracies going on in the world and some mysteries and things like that. But yeah.
So it's more like they're not like when you're making your puzzles and stuff, they're not like you have to do this. They're more like, hey, if you want some extra information, here you go. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. I really like to create open world sort of D&D games.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because then the players can just do what they want. I mean, the one I made was they were on this tiny little island. I thought, confine them to an island. It's all good. But I did put a boat there, and then they did end up hijacking the boat and then sailing off to a completely different island in this world. So I was like, oh no! But it's open world, so they can do what they want.
Well, being able to pull information on the spot is something you need. Right?
Yeah, I did sort of move a town that I'd made for this island. Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah, it's actually over. Hey, you could do if they didn't know about it, you can totally do that. Or even if they did know about it, if they've never actually been there, you can just move all the NPCs to a different town. But that's really cool. I guess then, when you do actually get to release an RPG, that'll be something awesome to look forward to. Because good storytelling is really great in RPGs. So I gotta ask this question. I know you mentioned on TikTok the game hasn't done as well as you'd like, but I do gotta say, just releasing the game in general is an insane milestone. Like I know you said in your video that like I don't care, I still release the game, and that's my same thought process. Is like I want to make games because I'm passionate about games. I love games. It lets me express myself, and I like to make other people feel good and let them be happy, and games are a fantastic way to do that, to share what you love and make other people happy. So I really love your mindset, and I think if you're going into development, especially as an indie developer, another huge piece of advice I give to anyone watching is like go into making games because you're passionate about making games. Don't expect sales. If you do get sales, awesome, but really just because I think I saw a sad statistic that I think indie developers just stop making games after their second or third game because they get discouraged. I don't know if it's because these people are, at the risk of being, sounding ignorant. I don't know if they're just not super passionate into games and they think it's a quick money grab, or if they just who knows, life comes up. But if everyone is stopping at their third game, I would figure there would be a correlation between not getting enough sales or something like that. But another fun stat, super quick, is I think people's first indie game only sells about a dozen copies. because there's a lot of games on Steam, and I don't know if that statistic is skewed because there's also a lot of garbage games on Steam.
Oh yeah.
There's you could find like there's so many games made on Unreal that are literally just like asset mashing, where they just buy assets and then throw it into a thing.
Yeah, well, they don't even have to buy them in Unreal. They get them all for free. It's a great program. Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just throwing that in there to let any people watching that want to become developers or that already are working on a game to not get discouraged if their game doesn't do well, and to you too, because like your game is genuinely a fun game. It's just that you can't, people aren't going to be able to find your game all the time. Do you think that you maybe was the marketing an issue, or what do you think?
I think it's a combination of marketing and the game itself. The game itself is not the ideal sort of game you want to get sales.
Well, do you think it's because it's the platform? Do you think it's PC?
The platform, PC, which doesn't lend itself to local multiplayers. Steam as well. Most Steam people want to be playing really in-depth, complicated games rather than sort of light games. Obviously, you can look at any game, any light game in there, and that's done popular, and you think, oh well, that's not the case. But it's a very small margin. Really, I'd say it's the genre coupled with the platform, coupled with the fact that I did not do enough marketing. Marketing is a weird word, but what I mean by that is just telling people that the game exists and getting the word out there, basically.
Well, there is just the word marketing is such a broad term too, because there's so much that goes into marketing and so many things you can do to market your game. I learned a little bit about I did like a little certification the other day about search engine optimization, and the little things you can do with that, and that's super in depth in itself, and that's part of marketing. And then there's obviously social media is marketing, Kickstarter is marketing. There's even giving out your product keys to streamers or publications, that's another thing you got to think about. But I think your game would be happily at home on something like Steam or not Steam, sorry, not Steam, Nintendo, or
okay,
or like Google Stadia, may it rest in peace. I think it would have been great there as well, because Stadia is like what I played Stadia, and it was really great for kids and my family. Just because while we have like Nintendo and stuff like that, cloud gaming was so convenient, I guess you'd say. You plug in your Chromecast, all you need is fast internet, and bam, you can play like any of AAA titles or indie titles without a strong console or the need to spend over $400 or $300 to get into it.
Oh yeah.
And it was really fun. So
yeah, I was thinking it'd be great to have it on Switch, obviously, Nintendo Switch. That's what the sort of games I based it on, Smash Bros and all that, all the local multiplayer games. But I did think that's a whole lot of extra effort and time gone into something that isn't, as no one knows about anyway. It feels like I'm kicking a dead horse. I need to just sort of maybe put this aside and move on.
No, yeah, I get that 100%. Like, you already made a good product, and while you could spend the time and resources to do it, it's just not. I mean, unless you really wanted to do it, just to say, hey, look, my game's on Nintendo. It's not like financially the smartest thing to do, just because. Or not even financially. I think your time is probably worth more than the money, because I don't know how easy it is. I know Unity supports almost every single platform, but I don't know how truly easy the process is to just export for Nintendo. But yeah,
no idea.
I guess, and to go on to that stat I talked about earlier, I guess. On average, second games sell a couple hundred, I believe. So I don't know if it's just because maybe it's like since you already started putting yourself out there by your first game, that your second game has a way bigger audience already built up. Because like for example, with your TikTok videos, you've been making and promoting yourself and your games for this entire time, and so by the time your second game releases, you'll have a way larger audience following you. I'd imagine that's what's behind
hoping,
that.
Yeah, I'm enjoying how much TikTok does for promotion of my self. I don't know. It does a really good job.
I was one of those people that was skeptical, and I mean I'm still sketched out by TikTok a little bit to be honest. But I was really surprised on how much traction you can gain pretty quickly if you kind of just follow the same. I guess you got the same kind of like method. You got to figure it out in a way. But I also kind of refuse to, and maybe I'm silly for doing this, but I don't want to put, like, they have like the trending music and stuff. I don't want to put random trending music in my, like, I want to put music that fits. Like maybe like a chill hop beat in the background of my video, not like the top viral hot song that makes literally 0 sense for my TikTok videos, because all my videos, I'm sure you've seen, are mostly tech oriented. And so if I randomly have like, I don't know, like just a random rap song over my tech videos, it's not gonna really make sense. Like most of my videos, I'm trying to teach you something. I can't teach you if I have like cute, but maybe I should just put the music in the background and then lower the volume to 0.
Yes, well, that's what some people do actually. But no, I don't do that either. As long as I don't even know what music's trending, I just go for something that links well with what I've got. But I do use trends that aren't music related, like video trends. Like someone said something and they said something in response, and then everyone's doing that same thing in response.
Like the stitches on stuff
things like that.
I should do a stitch. I haven't done a single stitch yet. I just make my videos, throw some hashtags on there in the music, and then just hope it does well.
Yeah, I think to get views, you have to view yourself and see you have to scroll through for a while and sort of get a feel of what the ecosystem's like, and okay, this is what people respond to, this is what they, there's no views on that one because they've just it doesn't go quick enough or whatever. And I would think TikTok does a really good job, and if anyone is on the fence about it, just try it out, because every video I do, I get maybe about 20 new subscribers on TikTok. It's a bit skewed because TikTok followers are a bit they're almost meaningless sometimes, because then everyone will just follow. But you get so many views on your videos. Like even the lowest video gets like about 100 views. That's 100 people who haven't seen your content before.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out kind of what people exactly like about my content, and I don't know if it's just obviously it's the quick tech tips, but like what factors into it getting more? Because, for example, my biggest video is my tech tips part 5, which is about the terms of service, and it's a website you can go to. You type in the service you're about to use, and it tells you everything that's good or bad in the terms of service. Like, it gives it a rating and everything. And I don't know if that's just because it's an insanely useful tip that people are interested in, or if I presented that video in a specific way. But like, I'm gonna have to go, because it got to like 30,000. I don't know what it's at right now, but it went off in my standards. I call that.
Yeah.
I would say that's
good, yeah.
It's not millions, but it's 30,000 is a big deal to me. I don't know what it's at right
definitely.
now. But all my other videos after that typically sit between that 1,000 to 3,000 range. There's every once in a while it varies, but
I'd say you don't have to put in that much effort into, because TikTok's a very mess. If you want to just how do I put this? This is more a tip for those who are sort of hesitant to get into it and trying to get the highest quality, whatever. And the tip would be just make the video and actually even just done like that, filming a video, blah 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 blah, freeze it, maybe point at your screen, blah blah blah, and post it. You'd probably get a few thousand views because that's how TikTok works. Even the messy designs really do well on that because it's an app where everyone wants to be authentic, wants to see the real you, whatever. And so that actually those messy ones actually do quite well.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are definitely days where I don't feel like putting in as much effort as I usually do. So I'll literally do what you said. I'll record a video of myself and literally just do all the editing within TikTok. But typically, if I'm doing my videos, what I'll do is I'll record footage with my phone, and then I will actually load the footage into Adobe Premiere Pro, and then do editing there and whatnot, and then export it, and then I put it on TikTok as well as like my Facebook Reels, and then sometimes and my YouTube Shorts if it fits within that 60-second frame for YouTube Shorts. So I guess, I mean, you already kind of touched on this, but now that Lazerball's released, and I know you're working on, your game jam and and then you're doing Unreal Engine with your friend, I guess, what is next for Isaac and Icy Games?
Yeah, make a few small games. Maybe a roguelike. Maybe that might be too big for me still. Probably just test out little small concepts. Do game jams. I'm basically right at the start of my journey still, so I'm just really bit by bit learning bits and bobs, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, this is the mindset you need to have, anyone that's watching. I mean, this guy already released a game, but he still considers himself like a noob to the whole scene, and that's what you need to do. You need to be basically a forever learner when you're doing this stuff, because games are definitely always developing. Oh, and don't chase the fad. Like, don't chase the fad games. So many people do that. Like, one game like Vampire Survivors comes out, and then a whole bunch of people jump on and try and make the exact same game.
Yeah, make a game that you want to make. For my next game, I am going to be looking a little bit more into what works, what sells. Like I was saying with the Steam, the users, they do like the more intricate games and management sort of things. So I'll be doing a little bit more research into what, so I don't waste don't spend another 2 years making another game that just isn't sellable, isn't marketable for my skill set. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think both of what you said is true, though. I think you should make what you love, but also do it with a little bit of research. If you look at a market and you look at the player base and the demographic and everything, and you're like, okay, this might not do the best here, but if you can find something that will fit that, make what you love within that constraints, really, I think.
Yeah, things like 2D platformers, 3D platformers, they really struggle. Indie developers struggle selling those, but that's what a lot of indie developers want to make as well. And
it's kind of easy, and it teaches you a lot of different things, is I think why people want to do. I think the reason why is because they look at Mario and all the RPGs they loved, and those are like the two biggest things people. Oh, and the Metroidvanias. Can't forget those.
Yeah,
those are all oversaturated platformers, Metroidvania, and I don't know if you saw it, but like I put a clip up. I mean, me and Oliver talked about platformers being oversaturated, and he has a great video on it. He did a hiking dev with John Sayskull, I believe, talking about how platformers are oversaturated, and basically, if you do make a platformer, you have to be able to make it stand out, and it's hard to make it stand out, especially because the developers behind platformers are like insane masterminds when they're making these platformers. They're like going to like almost like the specific tile or block they're placing in their platform. They're meticulously figuring out how should we the first like 3 seconds of the first Super Mario Brothers level. You start the game, there's a Goomba, and there's like one block. They a lot of time went to thinking about that for a specific reason. It teaches the player, hey, you can walk this way, you can't walk back, you can hit this, you can stomp on this guy's head.
Oh yeah.
There's so much game design that goes into that type of thing. So don't make a platformer is my suggestion. But if you really, really want to make one, then go ahead. I can't stop you.
If you're trying to make it, trying to learn, I mean, go ahead. But don't expect big sales from it.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess my last question for you: what is a tip or philosophy that really has helped you in game dev or just life in general?
Well, what's helped me is I've just been realistic about what I'm doing. Like when I've been developing this game, I haven't actually entertained any other ideas for any other games. If game dev is what you want to do, if you want to make a game from start to finish, you need to keep that focus, you need to keep that planning, and I'd say don't be too precious about the end result. Enjoy the process. Take little by little steps when you're making a game. We did say that earlier. To feel accomplished as you're going, and when you're doing these little small things, you do feel a bit of accomplishment. You tick off a checklist and you can put it into the done pile. What I'd say specifically encompasses that as a phrase, I could say, but
well, it doesn't have to be like a specific phrase, but I guess what you're kind of saying is like pick an idea that you're excited and passionate about, stay focused, and do your best not to deviate. I mean, everyone's going to have, second game ideas in the back of their head while they're making their first game, but like continue to stay focused and, do what you need to do to make sure your game gets done. Because I think that's one of the most important things is to actually finish your game, whether you decide to publish it or not.
Yeah, I did create a YouTube video about learning game dev in 6 months.
Well, I'll link that right there, right between your hands.
But yeah, that was the main focus that I wanted to get across, was to inspire people that they can do it, and that the main thing you want to be doing is to stay motivated, and the main way to stay motivated is to invest into yourself and into what you're doing and to tell people about it. So when I got this idea to make a game in 2020, it was lockdown. I was like, I've got free time now. I'm on furlough. I'm not at my job, and so I was like, wow, let me just start making a game. And so I bought, actually from my savings, I bought a computer. And I thought, I actually invested money into this now. I've got to keep going. And that was one of the motivations that just kept me going, and things like that. And telling people about it. I'm making a game. Hey. And I told my friend, and he said, use Unity. I was like, okay, cool. And so you want to invest into it and stay motivated in that way. All I'd say, I'd say know what you're going into. Know that it's going to be tough. But if you really want to do it, you can do it. That's what I would say. I'd really want people to know that they can do it. I didn't have any experience as a game designer. I didn't know anything about programming. All I did was a course at university for concept art, so that was more art based for game design, really. But really, anyone could do it. If you think, oh man, I can't do it because this guy, you have to be a good programmer, or you have to be, into the industry, you start doubting yourself. Like, honestly, you can do it if you're really motivated to do it, and you know what you're getting into. It's going to be tough, and you've got the motivation to go through with it and keep pushing yourself. You can do it. It doesn't matter what your background is.
All right, well, thanks for so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thank you.